I'm Lisa Davidson, and this is my story. I've always had positions that were in pretty highly demanding positions, and most recently my role was very demanding as an executive with a company here in Pittsburgh. When I took the job, I thought that it was the dream job. I thought it was going to be great, and found out the time with my family was getting much more limited, and my kids and my husband were getting less and less time of me. I would race after work to try and hit school events or after school activities, and come home and help the kids with homework, and then start work again at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. One time it was a board meeting that had been planned 2 years in advance, and my first grader had a lunch with mom and dad at school, and all the other parents were going to be there. Then I had to explain to her that I couldn't, and she couldn't understand why 2 weeks advance notice wasn't enough. My husband and I had decided several years before that he would be the stay-at-home parent and that I would have the career, so I felt a lot of pressure to bring home an income that could help us to save for college and mortgage and expenses. My priorities quickly formed in my mind that the company had 100% of my time, and then I was a mom, and then I was a wife, and the Lisa time was very infrequent. But I found myself praying more and more every day, multiple times a day, for God to help me out of the situation I was in. I remember praying specifically, driving down 79 South one morning and praying desperately to God, for God, please help me out of this situation. And I even kind of spelled out what I needed for Him to do. I would pray multiple times a day. Just speak to me, Lord, speak clearly, and tell me how I can get out of this situation. But, you know, I want to resign from my job, but I don't want it to be financially impacting, and I don't want it to be painful, and so just make it happen. And that was for probably 6 months. I prayed every day. And one day, my boss came into my office and let me know that my position was being eliminated. It was the beginning of the recession. The company was not doing as well as it had in the past, and my role was being eliminated, and I was being given a severance. And I left, and for a couple of weeks I would take my kids to school, and then I would drive to the Montour Trail. I remember one day I was walking down the trail. It was raining, but not pouring, but just raining, and I just needed to walk. So I walked in the rain, and I stopped at a bench. I said, God, I've prayed for months for you to help me. And now look, I'm not in control. I don't have a plan. And I felt very alone. A couple of weeks later, my youngest daughter was in an accident and broke her nose. And she needed to go to the emergency room, and she needed some minor surgery, and she was off school for a few days. About a month after that, my second daughter became very sick, and she needed to go to Children's Hospital just for a night, but it was really scary for her, and we weren't really sure what was going on. And then a couple of months after that, my son went through the most difficult time I think a child can go through. And he really needed his parents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For each of those situations, I was there for my kids. I was 100% present. I wasn't out of town. I wasn't sitting with them but checking my iPhone. I didn't have my laptop with me. I wasn't stepping out in the middle of a sentence and taking a call. I was 100% present. And I slowly started to realize that God had answered my prayer. He knew the right thing for me, and He knew the right thing for my family. You know, in Christmases past, my priority was making sure that I was 100% present in my professional role. Even during Christmas and Christmas breaks, I was working. I feel very present with my family and with God. And this Christmas will just be another opportunity to kind of enrich that whole part of my life.